facts all day. Anthony's like, nah, I got the better parlay. Argue about the spread, it's a fierce debate. But when it comes to Wildcats, they align their fate. Blitz the bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums.
All right, we are back for another episode of the Blitz the Bookie podcast. I'm Charlie Winkle, joined by Anthony Roberts. It is Tuesday, May the 27th, and the New York Knicks are trying to tie up this series, take back home court advantage, and basically make this a 3-game showdown for the Eastern Conference Finals.
Must win.
Yep. So there is some basketball to talk. Otega Owe, he has a decision to make by tomorrow night to either stay in the NBA draft or come back to college, hopefully Kentucky. So we'll give our opinions on that. But this post-Memorial Day episode, we're going to be talking wrestling, baseball cards, and boxing.
Let's go.
I got a lot of good feedback on the wrestling talk that we had last week. So what the listeners want, the listeners get. We are going to talk some more wrestling. And when I think wrestling, Anthony, it makes me think of my childhood. When I think of my childhood, what else do I think about? Baseball cards. If you grew up in the 80s or 90s and you were a sports fan, you most likely collected baseball cards and spent a lot of time in the card shops. So
no doubt.
We're going to get into a little nostalgia with a little baseball card talk. And then on the boxing side, we do have some boxing news that I was kind of looking forward to talking about a little different way. Hopefully that's still going to happen here in the next couple of weeks, but we'll talk about the boxing news that we have here in Louisville, Kentucky. Before we get into everything, guys, thank you all for taking your time out of your day to check us out. We appreciate you all. Don't forget, like, subscribe on all your favorite streaming platforms. We appreciate all of you guys. We know there's a lot of options out there. Thank you for listening. So other than that, Anthony, how was your Memorial Day?
Great. Got to spend time with family.
No baseball this weekend.
No baseball. Still had plenty of things to do.
Last weekend off for, a month?
Yep.
Till the end of our season?
No doubt. We had my daughter's graduation. So I went through the...
you had a big weekend.
I did. We went through the emotional part of that. I got my wife lost in the woods. We went on some trails, hiking up Fort Duffield up in West Point, Kentucky, and we got pretty deep back there and got lost. That was kind of a big deal for my family. We laugh about it now, but it wasn't laughing then. It was some cussing and everything. I never was scared, but I was scared about how upset my wife was getting, if that makes sense.
Did you not have service?
No, I did. Barely, but I did. We were on trails, bike trails, but these trails were 4 miles a piece, and you could get like going on the blue one, then you could get switched over real quick. They weren't the best marked trails, so we were walking on trails that were 3 or 4 miles deep. It backs up to Fort Knox.
You didn't drop like breadcrumbs as you went, or M&Ms?
Let me tell you what's frustrating. You follow a trail and you go up like a half mile, and you come back, and you can see the other part of the trail right across from you, and you think, "Wow, I just walked 3/4 of a mile." And all I had to do was cut across there. It would have took me 3 minutes. But you don't know. Trust me, I'll try to look up the trail map.
But next time, take your M&Ms or some Reese's Pieces or something. Leave you a trail.
I told you this,
back.
but I'll tell the viewers this. We'd been out there for 3 hours, 3.5 hours. My wife, my son, they were starting to get worried. I never was. But I could always go towards the dot, but then that would have been, it was very mountainous-like, and that would have been going up over the edge. I didn't want to take my wife through that. My son, we would have been fine. But we came around the corner. We're way up in the air. It's pretty high elevation. We had no clue where we were. We look down and we see our car at the very bottom, but we're high, really high. We weren't going to walk no more trails. We were going down to the car. And normally my wife wouldn't do that. She was game. She was tired. She was worried. She was ready to go down. So we pretty much slid down the hill. You couldn't walk down, you'd fall. So we pretty much slid down the hill sideways, backwards, grabbing trees.
So that's where that tick came from that you had.
That's right. It was a wild weekend, but we had a good weekend. Got to watch some sports and did that. Barely missed the pick 5 I told you about. Didn't even realize I had it. Look later, I hit it twice. 50 Cent paid $5.50. I had it twice because I had $1.
But you had 4 out of 5.
Yep, I missed one for $290,000. The very first leg, it was just a 3-to-1 horse. I had the 50-to-1 horse. I had the 12
So your 4 out of 5 paid what?
$5.50. I had it twice because I played it. I wish I would have played instead of playing $1 pick 5, played a 50 cents, and then I would have got more coverage. Maybe I could have had that 3-to-1 in that first leg. I literally had them all singled but one race.
That's wild.
It is. I only had like $6 in the ticket.
Your pick 5 tickets are way different than mine.
I call them lottery tickets. I don't play them to win. Like if I play them to win, yeah, I try to get coverage. I call them lottery tickets. You know, every once in a while you just get lucky.
I hit a pick 5 this weekend at Churchill. Paid $140.
Yeah.
It was a winner, but not a big one.
But like you said, you had some long shots into it, and
Yeah, they just didn't come in. Actually hit a pick 5, a superfecta, and a trifecta that day, and won probably like $250.
it's all right. It's a winner. It's better than losing.
No, it is. All right, Anthony, the NBA game 5 right now going on. No, game 4. I'm sorry. It's 2-1, right? Yeah, this is game 4 in Indy. The Knicks, like Anthony said, this is must win.
Must win. They can't go down 3-1.
Can't go down 3-1. And this has been a wacky series. Everything about this series has been wild. Crazy comebacks. Brunson got in foul trouble last game, and Karl Anthony Towns took over at the end. Did you see that?
I heard a little bit of that. I seen
He
parts of it.
smashed on somebody's head, and he actually took over. He had a big 3, and then he came back the very next possession and dunked on somebody. So I think he's trying to figure out that he can do other stuff other than just shoot threes.
Yeah.
You know, they say he's probably one of the best, maybe the best shooting big man in the history of the NBA.
Wow. And he's not bad down low. I remember him at Kentucky. He's got a down low game. I guess he just relies so much on the shooting. He's so good at it.
He's a gunner. Oh, we watching football, or what are they playing right here?
That's that flopping move you talk about.
No, he is a foul baiter.
Charlie taught me a new word this week, foul baiter. I never heard about
He
it.
is.
They're just good at it. They've become good at flopping. I hate to say it, but that's what they've become
SGA
in.
does it a little bit too. I hate to say that because he's a Kentucky boy. You know, he was the first Kentucky player to ever win NBA MVP. That's a little bit surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
All the guys we've had come through here through the years, and
We've never had a grado. We've had really good ones. Thought maybe Anthony Davis, maybe Mashburn would have got that award if he would have stayed healthy. Antoine maybe got close a few times, but
Dan Issel back in the day.
yeah, but he was in that era with,
Yeah.
just
Never had one. This is the first one ever, SGA. So I hate to even say that, but he does too. He's a foul baiter. He's always trying to draw a foul, jump into somebody,
I think it's
flopping a little bit. I'm not saying all the time, but he flops.
I think that's why these guys maybe are scared to defend. Is because they know these guys are good at it, and so they don't want to give up that easy foul.
So Knicks are down 8 right now. Looks like first quarter's about to end. Knicks better step it up. But you know what? These games, especially this other series, have you watched any of the other series?
A little bit, yeah.
They score 140 almost every game.
It's crazy.
140? I don't know what Oklahoma City is averaging in this series, but it's got to be like 128 points.
I'm going to tell you what, with that many points, whatever the NBA does, just let the defense be more physical. It would slow some of the scoring down. I don't care where it is or where you want it to be, but let them do a little something to get an advantage back over the offense. We do not need 140 points a game, in my opinion, Charlie.
It's way too high scoring. We get up into the 90s, low 100s, I'm with that. But, man, the NBA used to be, you'd score 100, but the playoff games should not be 100. It really shouldn't be in the hundreds, I don't think. But 140 is absolutely ridiculous. Look at the scores to the Oklahoma City game. In every game they've won, they've scored over, I want to say like 118 points. And then the one game that they lost, They scored over 100 in that game.
Do you think, NBA, the ratings are really down? Do you think that has anything to do with the ratings being down? Do you feel like the fans, maybe they don't even realize it themselves, but maybe the fans are seeking more defense, more
I hope
compact?
so.
Yeah.
I hope so, because 140 in a playoff game, I mean, what are we doing? Are they playing? I've actually been on the side of NBA players do play defense, and I do. We'll sit here and watch this, and we can watch possession by possession. They are playing defense, but how do you give up 140-something points?
To me, what I see, nobody holds their ground on defense. It's a flop. Like, okay, I get you to here. I'm going to bounce off, and they're going to call it one way or the other. Change the rules so you're not calling those fouls as much, which in return will make the players or allow the players to hold their ground. Because right now, as soon as they draw contact, they've trained themselves to get the contact and pop back, flop back. Make it where that's a playthrough.
They need to make it where because in the NBA now you can review fouls.
Right.
You can review a foul.
Make it a technical if they get caught flopping. If you don't get caught flopping, good.
Exactly.
And then if you get caught doing maybe 3 in a game?
On reviews, if you see a flop, it should be a technical. Because, I don't know, you call a flop, that is, I guess everything's a judgment call, though. I mean, every foul is a judgment. I mean, I guess
it is,
if
but
you just hack them across the arm, it's not really a judgment call. But a lot of the 50-50 calls are judgment calls. They just are. Because a flop would be a judgment call for sure. So it'd be hard to.
Coach K was the one that started this, in what I remember. He was in college. His players, they were really learning the art of flopping, of really leaning. These guys know how to do it. They know how to contort their body, lean into them to get the contact.
Their king taught them.
Yeah.
Their king.
That's right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but that's how it all started. And that's what's the matter with the game. You don't get no contact. Contact, there's a foul. Somebody pops back one way or the other, or they get an open shot. What happened to getting that chest, somebody spinning into somebody, getting that chest bump, and just playing through it? And that just makes it a more physical game. I think that's what the fans are kind of wanting. So, just my take.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like the high scoring like that. I want to see a little bit more defense, a little bit more battling. I mean, I do. I'm sitting here watching it right now. They are battling, but it's just so different. Maybe it's just because they jack up to so many threes.
Well, that's why the back to the basket game, in my opinion, isn't popular no more, because it used to be you'd have to do a lot of battling just to get down to that spot where you wanted to make your move. Now, before you get there, they've done called a foul either on the offense or defense.
They don't do anything like back to the basket anymore. Watch it. The only thing there's one thing they do back to the basket, and that's box out. You ever seen these guys box out now? They don't even box out with their backside. They just reach out and push people and then turn around and hope it's right there. There is no turning around and putting a body on anybody anymore. The boxing out is all with hands now. They let them do it too. It's crazy.
I never paid attention to that, but
watch them. They don't turn and get a body on, get your backside on them. Dude, like you used to.
When I play basketball, no NBA player by no means, but that's the first thing I do when a shot goes up. That's just like in my memory of mind, and I try to teach my son that shot goes up, find a body.
They almost just reach out and extend their arms faced up.
And you know what else?
I noticed it in college basketball. They do it in college, too.
That's why all the offense gets all the energy, because it takes a little energy to box somebody out, Charlie. It takes energy to fight through a box out. They want everything going up and down. That's what they want. They don't want nobody putting bodies or putting pressure on nobody. Everything's free moving.
Watching this game, it's very up and down, but that's how the Pacers play. They play fast. And it looks to me like that's what New York's doing right now, too. But it's up and down. They might as well put the shot clock at like 15, because I don't think they ever get to the end of the shot clock anymore. It is up and down.
No doubt. They need to win this. I'm not saying it's, they're done, but you don't want to go down 3-1.
No, if they – I'll go ahead and say it. If they lose this, they're done.
I'll say they still have a shot, but it's
– well,
they
still got a shot, because the series is
I get what
over,
you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I think it's over if they don't win this. They need to get this one.
Okay. I'm with that.
The other series, I think, is pretty much over. OKC is just better. their defense is stifling. When we talk about defense, they play great defense. I think they're outmatching the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards is not playing good. Randall's playing decent. He's putting up some big numbers, but I just think they're outmatched.
OKC, I call it the big three. SGA, Williams, and Hogan. When I look at the box score every night for those teams, that's the three big scores. SGA, Williams, and Hogan.
They got a good young team, and they're going to be hard to beat. I don't think Minnesota's the one to do it. I'm not sure either one of these teams here is going to be able to do it either. Shea, not only MVP, might get him his first NBA championship in the same year.
You know, you talk about how good their defense is, and it is, but their offense is special too. They're a good team, dude. I really give Denver credit for taking them to the wire.
That series was basically your Eastern or your Western Conference Finals, because I think that was their best shot to take down Oklahoma City was
Somebody's down.
Denver. Somebody is down. Who is that?
He's all right.
Flopping.
He's tired. He needs a break.
He's tired.
Thing about it is,
I don't know who is that? He actually got knocked down. Who is that? Lance Stevenson out there bodying people? That's what it looked like. Remember Lance
the
Stevenson?
Malice in the Palace, or the
No, he was way after. He was after that. Lance Stevenson wasn't on that team. But Lance Stevenson did play for the man. He was funny because he used to battle LeBron.
Yeah.
Remember he blew.
Oh, yeah.
Remember he
Yeah.
blew in his ear that one time, or blew in.
Tried to do a little Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, whoever that was for the Pacers just bodied somebody.
Yep.
All right, Knicks still got a chance. Oklahoma City's rolling.
3-1.
So we'll keep you updated here as the Knicks game goes on. Anthony Otega Owe has until tomorrow night at midnight.
What's your predictions?
He's coming back.
Okay.
I think he's coming back. I still haven't seen anything that's saying he's going to definitely not be a first rounder. I'm not even sure. I haven't even looked at any mock drafts here in at least a week or so. I don't know. I guess he's projected to be a second rounder, but why would you leave
When you
Kentucky when
Yes.
you're
That's my argument. Like you seen it.
how much do you think he was making last year? Let's just take a guess. Like $2 million?
Well, last year he came from
1.5?
Oklahoma. He was
I say
1.2.
1.2.
1.2.
All right, so let's say he was making $1 million. Let's just say he was making $1 million.
Okay.
He had a great year, and I could argue that he might be the face of the SEC this year.
$2 or $3 million at least.
At least, right?
At least
2 to
at
3
least.
million.
I'd say at 3 at least. 3 at least.
Second round picks ain't making that. They ain't guaranteed that. I don't think so.
I think it's
Why? And NIL.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. The $3 million, but the $3 million is not NIL. The $3 million is
the package.
The $3 million is just straight. Here it is. But the other opportunities that he would have in Lexington compared to
And he's just not at
second round pick in the D League, maybe for first half of the season, or maybe he makes a roster and he's on Milwaukee. Hey, you think he's going to get a bunch? He's second round pick, barely making the roster in Milwaukee. You think he's going to get a bunch of commercial deals?
This is where it gets tough. Okay, this is where it gets tough, if you ask me. Because look, Pope. Like I'm just going to use our team for example, but this is everybody's team. Pope got a great relationship with OA. Pope had a good relationship with the two boys from Kentucky that transferred. But as good as that relationship is, and I think Pope is smart, he's probably keeping that relationship good just for not just for negotiation, but a part of it. But these kids got agents. It ain't them. You can't just outsmart a kid. They have agents. I think there's a really good chance all that is him doing that is holding Kentucky's like getting the most he can out of Kentucky. If you hire an agent, that's their job. And if you act like you just want to sign with them, they're not going to give you as much. I don't care how much they like you. People are going to try to pay the most affordable price possible. I heard Pope make a comment, he hated seeing the guys go. Well, if you hated seeing them go, why didn't you pay them more? I don't blame him for letting them go. I believe probably in his heart he wanted to let them go. But I think he's probably saying that to try to play an angle with the fans, which I get that. I'm not mad about that. But if you liked them more, you would have paid them more. It's all coming down to money and in negotiations. And even if you do, I do think OA is coming back. I do think he wants to come back. But him doing this is probably trying to get as much as he can, and I don't blame him, and that's his agent's job. And I hate that it's come to this, but I truly believe that's what's going on with a lot of these players.
He's not getting more because he's holding out to the last second.
Why wouldn't he be?
Whatever the deal is, I'm sure has been on the table for weeks.
They're
From Kentucky. It's like, here it is. This is it.
You don't think they're negotiating over it?
No,
Okay.
hell no.
I
think they were negotiating at some point a month ago or 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
I don't think they're doing no negotiating now.
They could, listen, I would say you could be right on that, but I think you could be wrong on that too. That could be a part of it. I think that could happen anywhere in the country, not just Kentucky.
I'm sure they laid a nice deal on the table for him, and he knows what he's got if he comes back.
But you know
he's
what?
Probably just doing his due diligence, which he should.
Well,
he should.
Well, his agent's doing that.
Even if that's just to prepare for next year, you know? I mean,
yeah, but
even if his long game is, I'm going to go, and he probably believes in his mind he can be a first-round pick, but maybe deep down he really knows I'm going to go through this process so I know
I can see
what I'm going to have to do next year. I mean, that's –
But why hold out to the last day? Why hold out to the last day? I'm with you on what you're saying, and I kind of agree with that, okay? But to me, the last day is something about I don't think he's going.
Is there a rush, though? I mean, I don't know. Is there any reason to rush back? I don't know.
No, but at this point, you know if you're going or you're not. He's not a first-round pick, like for sure first-round pick. He'd be crazy to go at this point. He'd be crazy. Just from a pure financial – I think anybody that can look at this from a logical standpoint and say, why would you go? There's more money to be made here, guaranteed money. Why would you go? So to me, he's had to make up his mind.
The guaranteed money's got to be more, and the opportunities at the University of Kentucky as a basketball player and especially a star.
What do you
maybe the star of the team?
Dude, what do you think?
It's through the roof.
But
right?
I
mean, his opportunities are through the roof.
I agree. But
if they're going to hand him $3 million, I bet he could easily make another $5 million. Mm-hmm. And that's just throwing out a number. I don't know. Maybe he could make $10 million in all the other commercials and.
I don't know if it's that much, but I don't know. I don't know either. I don't know either.
I don't know how much they're making, but I'm sure he could make a nice chunk of change on his name.
But what about if his
on top of the $3 million or whatever?
What about if his agent's telling him, I know you like it here, but I think you liked it at Oklahoma. But I think it's not a disrespectful offer, but I think your market value is higher than that. Start having that conversation, him and that guy, then maybe he says, okay, well, how do we try to get more out of him?
They're not holding out, trying to hold Kentucky to the fire. No,
it very well could be, dude. He liked his situation in Oklahoma, and you can't blame the kid.
Nah, he ain't. He's not sitting there trying to hold Kentucky to the fire. I don't believe that. I don't think
you don't think these
at all.
I don't think he is. His agent is.
They say that kid from Memphis held out so long that he's now going to make less than
it could happen. It could happen. There's no doubt it could happen.
So
we seen the.
What kind of bargaining power does OA have right now? You don't think Kentucky?
He could go to somewhere else. You could, Charlie.
Ain't nobody going to pay him more than we're going to pay him.
We don't know that.
Kentucky's putting out money right now.
I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying it. But
they're paying right now.
He has a market value, and maybe maybe his agent's saying that say they're offering him 2.4. His agent's telling him, dude, we can get 3 point something from somewhere else.
That is not happening. I think the chance of him coming back to college and going somewhere other than Kentucky is less than 1%.
Okay. I'm with you.
And I hope I'm right about that.
I think Kentucky probably thinks that too. But his agent is smart enough to think Kentucky thinks that too. So he's got to put some kind of fear in his mind, not just some fake fear, some little weak fear. You got to almost be willing to walk. That's how negotiation works. Because if you don't, they're smart. If they think that you're weak in the water, they're going to.
Kentucky's not weak in the water.
I'm saying part of the negotiation.
We're as heavy in the water as we've ever been right now with the way we're putting the money out.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's part of the negotiations. You can't just throw your money out. You got to use your money wisely.
Like I said, I'm sure Kentucky already laid a nice offer for him on the table, and I think that's probably it is what it is. Like, he don't have no bargaining power. He's not going to be a top 15
He has a lot of bargaining power. He could go to another school.
He is not going anywhere else.
I agree with that. I agree he's not going
You know
nowhere.
why? Because we're probably going to pay him more than anybody else.
Maybe.
And if somebody was going to pay him more, it wouldn't be by a substantial amount. Kentucky is laying down the money right now. They are handing out bags right now.
A lot of other people are too. A lot of people are handing out money. And yes, they are.
Not like we are right now.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
They say we're what, at 10 million?
No, I've heard 20.
Okay,
multiple times, which I don't even know that number's right, and I tend to think it's not right. But I've actually heard that multiple times now, which I think is absolutely crazy.
Other people, a lot of other schools are spending money, dude. We're not the only ones spending money. A lot of other schools are spending big money.
Ain't nobody's going to be able to pay OA enough to lure him away from Kentucky.
Charlie, I think you'd be surprised by the power of money. You look at the two white boys. I'm
not saying it's impossible. I'm saying nobody's in position to do it right now. I'm not saying it can never happen. I'm saying right now, nobody is in a position right now to say, "Oh, swipe on in and say, here, OA, we'll give you $7 million."
I disagree.
It's not happening.
I disagree with that. But I'm not saying like $7 million, but like say we're offering him 2.3 or 2.4, whatever it is. I don't even know. But then somebody comes in and says 3.5. I think plenty of people's in line to do that. And then Kentucky, they don't want to overpay. It's a business.
Who the hell who's in line to?
I don't know.
Would have money like that right now. Dude, everybody's roster is pretty much finished.
I see these people throwing around money.
That's why nobody wanted the leading scorer in the country.
I feel like these people are throwing around stupid money right now, dude. I just do. I feel like they're throwing around stupid money. Yeah, but you're
getting late in the game right now.
I'm not saying you're not.
Rosters are filled.
And people.
So, yeah, you might be able to squeeze somebody in, but you might not be able to squeeze a $4 million player in.
Sure, but dude, these people.
We might be able to squeeze a 12th or a 13th or a 14th man in that we can pay $200,000, but we ain't got room to squeeze in. We've already got 13 solid on our roster. We ain't got room to squeeze in a 14th for $4 million,
sure,
$5 million.
I don't know all the situation,
now,
but
a couple months ago, I think that maybe could have happened. But
I don't know all the situation, but I will say this: that I don't even think the kids probably involved in it much. I think when they do this, I think these people tell them, it's talked about in the NBA, different circles, it's a business. And I just think they let the agent handle it all. That's what their agent gets paid to do. I don't think the conversation's going on with OA. I think it's going on between the agent and then the agent relays the messages to the player.
OA done told his agent, look, I'm at the greatest college basketball school in the country. You think I'm going anywhere else?
What happened to the two?
You see that name that I wear on my chest?
What happened to them?
Do you think I'm really going somewhere else?
We've made these arguments 2 months ago about the white boys. They're both gone. Because they got off.
They ain't no way.
But it's still they were tied because they believed they wore the name on the chest. We went through all that.
They were those guys that we've talked about need to do that because they don't know if that money's coming. Ever.
I've heard of them kids. They're better than everybody else because they played for the name on their chest. That shows you they didn't play for the name on the chest.
Well, show me
they played for the money.
When a big time player that plays for Kentucky. A big-time college basketball player that plays at least one season at Kentucky and leaves to go to another school.
Charlie, we just talked about a couple months ago about the name on the front of the jersey. Them were the two kids who were supposed to be playing for it most of all.
No, come on. They're Kentucky kids, dude. Those guys are just Kentucky boys that whatever, like...
Dude, we can pull up some of the old podcasts. Dude, we argued about this and argued about this. They played for the money.
How many times have we said that the guys that don't know that their future is set?
I agree with that.
Are the ones that we don't blame to do what they're doing.
Okay, but
those top guys ain't doing it.
But OA don't know he's a first rounder. Huh? He don't know he's a first rounder. He don't know if he's going to make it in the NBA. He's one of the ones that probably need to do it.
I'm surprised he's not a first rounder.
I kind of am too.
Now.
I kind of am too. But I don't.
I'd love to see 32 or 30 guys that are better than him. Maybe I'm wrong. I think he is a first rounder, but that's neither here nor there.
I just don't think it comes down.
I think next year he definitely will be, as long as he plays like he did this year, or definitely if he gets better, I think he'll be a first round pick.
These guys
he's not no middle of the road guy. OA could be the face of the SEC, and honestly, I think he could be one of the best players in the country this year.
I couldn't disagree with that, but that don't mean he's going to make a great player.
He's not leaving Kentucky to go anywhere else. When a guy like that leaves, then we can have the argument. But
Charlie,
I'm telling you,
you've seen it. What you look?
Well,
I think your argument's weak there. I do because,
Argument.
dude, I do. We've already argued about it, and
I know.
What's
and you're
happened?
wrong. And you're wrong.
Charlie,
You're wrong.
I will pull up the old podcast and we can go back and look at things.
What are we gonna look at?
When you said these players, these guys would never do that. They would never do that. They left because of more money.
I didn't say Perry would never leave.
Oh, they played for the.
I didn't say they do play for the name.
All right, I'm done with
They
it.
do play for the name.
I'm done with it. I'm done with it.
Please find where I ever said that Perry was never going to leave Kentucky.
You edited it out then.
No, hell no. Hell no. I didn't never say Perry would never leave. No. Matter of fact, I think we said he should play for Eastern Kentucky. What are you talking about?
Both of them left. Didn't both of them leave?
Who?
Both the boys from Kentucky, didn't they both leave?
No.
Okay, the other one's still
No,
okay.
Noah?
Yeah, I thought, okay.
Noah didn't leave.
Okay, I thought he
Perry
did.
left because, he was going to get double the money. And he was going to be the 13th guy. He wasn't going to be the fourth guy on our roster. He was going to be like the 14th guy.
Yep.
When a starter, when a top player on our team, a top player in the country, like an Otega Owe, leaves Kentucky to go to another school, then let's talk. Those guys ain't leaving.
Well, if Kentucky,
You know why? Because he has more upside at Kentucky than he does at Oklahoma.
You keep believing it ain't about money, Charlie. Keep believing it.
Well, when a big player leaves Kentucky, you let me know because it ain't gonna happen. Your mid
Kentucky
guys
better
will
pay
play.
market value.
Your mid guys are gonna play. The guy that's 8th, 9th, 10th, 14th on the roster. The guy that plays 7 minutes a game, of course he might leave. Why wouldn't he? He wants to go get more minutes. And if he can go get more minutes and more money, okay, I get that. Guys that are playing big minutes and performing at Kentucky are not leaving to go to another school.
If they're paying them that much money, they're going to get big minutes at the other school.
If Otega Owe wants to be a first-round pick, do you think?
I don't think he's leaving. I do think he could be using it as negotiations, though, because maybe his agent thinks Kentucky's not respecting the idea that he could leave. So that's where negotiations works, is how you're trying to convince the other side, how serious are you about walking away from the table? And that's all what negotiations are. Whether you're in business, sports, or whatever, you got to convince that guy that you're willing to walk, because if not, you're not going to see his best number.
Oh, ESPN, right as we speak, breaking news. Otega Owe loves Kentucky so much. He says he would never leave Kentucky. Matter of fact, he's trying to get 2 more years of eligibility.
I'm
He
sure
says,
he
I
is.
love Kentucky so much. Tell Blitz the Bookie and Anthony Roberts that I would never leave Kentucky. Breaking news.
I'm sure he does love
Coming
it.
across
Well, you're making that
ESPN
kind of
right
money.
now.
Yeah, I'm sure he does love it.
Hopefully we hear he's coming back.
I think he will.
I think the chances that he's taking his name out of the draft are, I'm going to say 90%. I think it's probably higher, but I'm going to say 90%. And I honestly think the chances that he comes back and goes to a different school other than Kentucky is less than 1%. So that's just me.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I think it would be a complete surprise to everybody if he went somewhere else. So I pray that does not happen. And if it does, I'll say it right here. You can mark it episode number 40. We didn't mention that. Episode 40, write it down, take a picture. I don't give a fuck, Anthony. If OA comes back but goes to another college, I'll say it next week. I'm with you. The players don't give a shit about the name on the front. But I'm holding out. I think that these guys, once they get a taste of what a school like Kentucky or Duke or Alabama football, if they can stay there, they want to stay there because there ain't nothing better.
The money.
You know, the money will be there for the guys like that.
I hear you. The money will be there, but I don't blame the kids. I would go after the money too. So I can't say nothing. And I think you're right about OA staying. But I do think there's hard negotiations that go on there that, I'm sure OA don't even want to touch them. He probably don't even feel, he's not even old enough to know how to have those conversations. I wouldn't know how to do it. Them guys are master negotiators. And I'm sure Kentucky's got a guy Pope ain't doing that negotiating. They got a business guy doing that negotiating. And Pope gives them the information. And you got to make it fit within the amount of money that you got. It's a business now. It just is. I mean, that's the way I see it anyways. Good stuff.
All right, so hopefully next week we will have OA back, and our roster is looking good. So we'll talk more about that throughout the summer and leading up to an early season. Did you hear we got an early exhibition game against Purdue, who Purdue is supposed to be ranked first or second in the country.
No doubt.
And they dropped one of the shitty exhibition games, and we're playing Purdue. It's a true exhibition game, but I think that's pretty cool.
No, I think it's real cool.
Much better than playing Poop State or whatever.
I agree. I like playing a tough. I actually like playing a tough non-conference schedule. Not in football because football's a different dynamic, but in basketball, play as tough a schedule as you can.
And Pope said he wants to go to like 35 or 40 games. He said he's pushing hard with some other coaches to extend the season. Longer.
I get it.
35 or 40 games. So
I would too.
He said he wants bigger games. He says he wants a home and home with Kansas. He wants a home and home with UConn. He wants to play, 3, 4, 5 bigger games.
He wants the school to be able to make more money so they can buy more players.
I guarantee it.
And I think he knows that. I think Pope's strategy is with depth, and it benefits him. I do think Pope's a very smart guy. I do think he's a very smart guy.
There ain't no thinking about
listen,
that. He's very smart.
I love him, but whatever he's doing, and he just like a lot of other coaches, he does it in things he believes in, but he's playing an angle all at the same time. And I think that's any smart guy does that. Being a coach is a lot of politics in it.
All right, Anthony, the wrestling was a hit last week, so maybe we'll just do a wrestling segment every week throughout the summer. Who knows? There's a lot of wrestling shit to talk about. I feel like we could start a whole nother podcast on wrestling.
Mean Gene Okerlund, baby. I'm here with the macho man, Charlie Winkle.
That's your Mean Gene Okerlund?
No, I'm not no good at voices. I'm not.
We could go so many different ways with the wrestling. Like I said, I feel like we could just do a whole podcast on Blitz the wrestling.
No doubt.
Kind of threw out some ideas just before the show, so we are winging this. But what are we going to go with? We're going to do our favorite moments.
Favorite moments. I would like to start off by explaining to everybody how I used to watch pay-per-views as a young kid, because I think this is
Scramble Channel.
I'll tell you we had a system at my house. So first thing, we'd beg my dad every month to rent us the pay-per-view. We're talking, I was a young kid, 5 years old, so we're talking probably 87, 88.
It's probably about $39.99, $49.99.
Begged my dad, told him I'd spend our own money, did everything. Wouldn't budge. So you watch that stuff all month, and that's their build-up is to the pay-per-view. It's almost like them infomercials. They had you like drooling over it. You wanted it. Anyhow, do you remember the old boxes that essentially were the first remote control? They had a wire on them, and you could pull them all the way to your bed, and it was like a little box, and it had the wire all the way to it, and you had about 25 channels, and it had a little thing that went across it.
The slider?
Yes. That was the first remote control. You didn't have to get up and change the channel. Okay? On that, it had a little focus button on the side. If you focused it like all the way up, you could make out the picture. It wasn't a very good picture, but you could make it out. It was fuzzy. If you went all the way the other way, you lost more of the picture, but you picked up the volume. So we would turn it all the way one way and get the picture and turn the volume all the way down on that TV. We'd go in the other room, turn it all the way the other way, and get the sound. We'd turn it up really loud, so we would have a fuzzy picture and the sound. I don't think a lot of people knew about that. I came up with that.
There you go.
That was my pay-per-view hack for poor people, I guess. Poor man's pay-per-view.
I was usually watching something else when I was watching the fuzzy channels.
Me too. I couldn't use that and have my two system going there. I don't think my mom or dad would have liked that too much.
I told you I had a buddy that his dad got every single one of them.
We did too.
He got them all. So I was over there
when I got older.
Every time.
When I got older. This is when I was really young.
Yeah.
Because, them boxes, they became obsolete kind of, not quick, but by the time we were in, the end of grade school, they were done, them boxes. Them boxes were like our early childhood, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Early. That's late 80s.
I would love to have one of those, though. That's kind of, retro things people have. I'd love to have my kids say, what the hell you got in your hands there? Like, that's the box.
All right, so we're gonna make this our favorite, right? Just
Okay,
your
favorite.
favorite moments, just your most memorable moment. Anthony, what is your top? If I just said, what is the biggest wrestling moment? Not even the biggest, but the most memorable to you that you remember as a kid. What would you say your top memorable moment in wrestling?
It's the greatest moment in wrestling history. When I was a kid, I think I almost cried because they built it up so big back then. It's no doubt. It's when Hogan slammed Andre the Giant. I think it was at WrestleMania.
Oh, you're staying basic with it then.
That's the biggest moment in wrestling history. Nobody thought he could be body slammed.
Yeah, but
Body
you
slammed
know
him.
they actually fought hundreds of times at other shows before that, and he slammed him.
Charlie,
plenty of
Charlie,
times.
Charlie,
Did you
Charlie.
know that though?
I don't want to know that, Charlie. God damn, I don't want to know that.
It might not have been.
Let me guess. Hulk Hogan, he was a real person in real life. The Undertaker really wasn't the Undertaker. Let me guess.
And he was all natural.
Undertaker didn't work for the. He didn't dig graves, did he, in real life? You tell me he lived with the real family?
I'm telling you that they fought other times.
That's what made it so great.
I
We
know.
didn't have the internet.
Nobody
then.
ever knew about it.
No, and I don't want to know about it.
We
I don't
all.
want about it. Shut
Anthony
up.
thought it was the first time ever when he slammed him.
It was the first time that everybody knew about it.
That was a huge moment for WWF. That was the WrestleMania that really set it off for them and made WrestleMania the event that it is now.
Do you remember
that moment?
Do you remember how he did it, Charlie?
What do you mean? Do I remember how
He got his energy for the Hulkamaniacs. He started the shakes. Remember when he'd get the shakes?
Oh, he
and
always
shit?
did that,
Well, that's
yeah.
right before he did something big. Like he would draw that energy from the Hulkamaniacs.
Oh,
The louder the Hulkamaniacs got, the more energy he got.
I take it you was a Hulkamaniac.
I ate my vitamins. Did live by his little Bible verses. Eat your vitamins. Be good to your parents. Whatever all that was, I lived by it, dude. Hogan for life. When I was a young kid, I was about some Hogan. I feel like 90-something% of kids. That's why it became such big. He built wrestling.
I never was a huge fan, but I didn't dislike him either. I liked him, but he was never like my favorite, but I had never disliked him. There's no doubt Hulk Hogan, you can kind of say he made the WWF what it is. I mean, I know he didn't do it by himself, but he was huge. And that moment at that WrestleMania, what was that, WrestleMania 3?
Yes. I got the demandments right here. Hulk Hogan's demandments. Train, eat your vitamins, say your prayers, and believe in yourself.
You had to look that up?
Yeah,
You should
I
be
did.
ashamed of yourself.
I knew it was eat your vitamins. I ate the hell out of some vitamins.
Ashamed of yourself. All right, the number one thing that I think about when I think about what is the biggest, and I'm not saying it's the biggest moment, but to me, the first thing that I think of is the Rockers breaking up, Shawn Michaels throwing Marty Jannetty through the glass. That is the number one thing that I remember I will never forget that moment. The Rockers were blowing up. They were the biggest tag team out. But I guess Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon both knew Marty Jannetty
Wasn't carrying his weight.
was a dud because they threw his ass through the glass, and it wasn't. Marty Jannetty did not last much longer, but the Rockers were awesome. To me, that was the number one. I'll never forget that moment. Not saying it was the biggest in the history of wrestling or anything, but to me, that was huge. And it propelled Shawn Michaels to the solo career that he had, which, he could arguably be.
He's top 5 wrestler.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure.
Top 5.
I'm sure a lot of people, it's his favorite wrestler. I think Charlie, my son, if you ask him his favorite wrestler, that's who he says is Shawn Michaels. And I'm sure he's not alone, and definitely could easily be argued as a top 5, top 10 of all time. Entertaining wrestlers, he's definitely up there. So propels Shawn Michaels into stardom and sends Marty Jannetty into depression. Probably, I'm not sure. What else you got when it comes to moments, Anthony? Come with something else, man. We don't need no Hulk Hogan slamming
Well, that was it. That's Luger shows up. Remember, everybody was trying to body slam Yokozuna on, I think it was on 4th of July, Independence Day, and the helicopter comes in. Luger comes out.
I don't remember the helicopter, but I definitely
helicopter.
remember Lex Luger body slamming Yokozuna.
He comes in with the American flag on, helicopter. They're outside.
That was WrestleMania too, I believe.
Was it, or was it just an event? I feel like it was during the day.
Well, Yokozuna was the main event for one of the WrestleManias, and I want to say,
I think it was on 4th of July. It was just a deal. Nobody could body slam Yokozuna. Everybody tried. Everybody was failing. It was like an event. It was during the day. It was during the day. Luger shows up in a helicopter, red, white, and blue, a pair of blue jeans on, all-American guy. He body slams Yoko on his head.
I do remember that now. It wasn't an actual match. They were just trying to
event. It was an event. I think it was on 4th of July. So that's a big one for me.
That's an off the wall one.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then when the Undertaker slammed Mankind off the cage, or Foley, I don't know what he was called at the time.
The Hell in the Cell. That was Mankind.
Dude, I don't know what it
Got
was.
launched off the top onto the announcers.
How do you talk a person? And they said that really could have hurt him easily.
Hell yeah, it was like 20 feet in the air. There ain't no faking that. Wrestling's fake, but a lot of the shit that they do is not fake.
They say Foley was the craziest one out of all. He would do stuff nobody else would do. How do you even talk somebody? I wouldn't even want to do that to him if I was the Undertaker. I wouldn't even want to do that to him.
He probably didn't. That was a good one. That was one of the.
That wasn't Foley's tango.
That was one of the better matches maybe of all time. Yeah. That was a hell of a match.
He wasn't big. Wasn't crazy body or whatever, but his thing was he's fucking nuts.
Well, while we're on The Undertaker, I was going to save this one for here in a couple minutes, but The Undertaker and Kane.
Oh, yeah.
Little storyline. And when Kane was first introduced, that was some cool shit.
It was.
I want to say it was a Hell in the Cell match with Shawn Michaels, and then the lights go out.
Yeah, that was cool.
Kind of sounds little bit similar to the Undertaker's little song going on, and next thing you know, it's
his brother.
Yeah, the Big Red Machine. What did they call Kane?
Kane.
Well, I know he was Kane. I thought they called him the Big Red something.
I don't know.
Now he's like a governor. He's a politician now. You know that? Kane is. Mm-mm. But anyways, yeah, he comes in the Hell in the Cell and tombstones the Undertaker, and that starts the
rivalry.
The rivalry, which it actually turned into a tag team there for a little bit. That was one of the best storylines, the Kane and the Undertaker storyline. But when he was first introduced, that was really cool. I'll never forget that one. I don't know if that was at a WrestleMania, or it had to have been at something big. Maybe it was a Monday Night Raw. I don't know, but it was I know they were in a cell.
They're not giving you that on Monday Night Raw.
Probably
they're not giving you, or maybe they might have, so they could build up for the pay-per-view.
It might have been.
Yeah, so they could build it up for the pay-per-view. So you had to order it.
And Kane, to his credit, ended up being a great character for a lot of years.
No, he was a great character. Kane was a good character,
and it was.
Charlie, it's
very believable that they were brothers.
Charlie,
did you ever think that they were really brothers?
They're not really. They're pro wrestlers. They're not characters. First thing, pro wrestlers. I don't know what.
Did you ever think they were brothers?
Are you one of the guys that thinks it's fake?
I just said a lot of the shit that they do is not fake.
Charlie, there's no doubt in my mind, 100% certain. I got into the fake stuff for a while. It's not fake, Charlie. It's real. Look at them. They bleed. They hit the hell out of each other, dude.
It's real, and Hulk Hogan that didn't do steroids.
Oh, he was steroid air. Yeah, that's what his vitamins were, dude.
Oh, shit.
Good stuff. Do you remember when the NWO took over?
Oh, that might be the number one storyline, best storyline ever.
New World Order. And they all, remember, everybody kept turning.
Well, that's when the WWF was taking over WCW, and he ended up, Vince McMahon, they had the Monday Night Wars, and then Vince McMahon just buys the WCW. You remember how he did it? It was, he went on TNT or TBS when they were supposed to be coming on after he bought them and said, I just bought him. I won the war. He's fucking
Well,
wild.
you know, Turner, that must have been a part of it because the guy he bought it from, Turner probably had more money than him.
Oh,
but
he definitely. Turner definitely had more money than him.
But, you know, I don't know if
But
he
he
ever...
won the wars, though, when it came to that. He
won every war. McMahon won it. Did you ever hear the story about how he kind of took over wrestling? There was all these little smaller venues, and he was a smaller one. WWF was a smaller deal. And he beat all the Ohio Valley.
You watched the new documentary? There's a new one. It came out a couple months ago.
Must have, because I heard that somewhere, so I must have.
Yeah. McMahon never lost, and he was actually that was more him and Bischoff.
Okay.
Because Bischoff was the one that was kind of running the WCW, and Bischoff was in that documentary talking about how he got his ass kicked.
What was your favorite WWF and WCW pay-per-view? It don't got to be the most famous, but what was your favorite of the two? Your favorite WWF one?
The Royal Rumble.
That's mine too.
Yeah, I mean the WrestleMania was the spectacle and all that, but the Royal Rumble did not get better when we were kids than the Royal Rumble.
I agree.
And then the winner of the Royal Rumble got to go to WrestleMania to fight the champ, so that made it a little better. But the Royal Rumble when we were coming up was awesome.
I loved it.
Awesome.
Loved it.
WCW, I don't know, Bash at the Beach, I guess. I don't know. What else did they have?
Always
Halloween Havoc.
Halloween Havoc. I love Halloween Havoc. Starrcade. Bash at the Beach. Starrcade.
Well, Bash at the Beach is famous because that's when
Sting did something.
Hogan turned heel.
I got you.
He turned into Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah.
Remember? That was another huge moment. I didn't even have written down, but when Hogan turned heel and turned into Hollywood Hogan, that was huge because nobody ever saw that coming. Nobody ever thought Hulk Hogan, the Hulkamaniacs, the red and yellow would ever go heel.
You know what I think happened?
He played a good heel though.
You know what I think happened? That generation of wrestlers, they got us when we were kids, and they knew that we were the core of their fan base. And we started to get a little older, and they thought, I bet you they can handle these guys being a bad guy. Like, they might enjoy that. And I think we did. Like, remember, all of them turned bad guy. All the big fighters turned bad guy. When you're a kid, you're for the good guy. But as an adult, you start being... Me now, I used to hate Ric Flair. But being an adult, he probably would have been my favorite wrestler because I love the stuff he says and, all the stuff. It's, kids versus adults' minds are just different.
The original NWO, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, which it's... so weird because I don't ever say those names. To me, it's Razor Ramon
and the Big Show
and Diesel.
Wasn't it the Big Show or no? Was it Diesel?
No, it was Diesel.
Okay.
That was Diesel.
Okay.
The Big Show was...
Yeah, that was the Big Giant.
Yeah, the Big Show was the guy that everybody tries to say.
I do not remember the name Diesel for whatever reason. I remember Razor.
Yeah, Diesel was what he played. He was in the WWF. I think actually he swapped WCW and WWF a couple times. But yeah, that was the original NWO, and then they added guys along the way. X-Pac ended up in it, right?
Dude, they had
no.
All the big stars, Macho,
D-Generation.
Sting, all of them went NWO. Sting went NWO, Macho went NWO, the whole crew, everybody went NWO. It was like they had the baddest gang on the block.
That's when I think Hulk Hogan was pissed off at Vince McMahon. That's why he went to the WCW like that for a while, and then a couple of the other guys jumped ship.
Negotiations.
A bunch of them jumped ship, actually. Lex Luger did there for a minute, too. Macho Man did. There was a bunch of them. But, yeah, the NWO and Hogan turning Hollywood Hogan, that's definitely up there. Another Hogan one for me, and this was going to probably be my number 2, of not like my favorite or the biggest. This one actually might be one of the biggest. Miss Elizabeth.
Hoochie.
And the love triangle that became.
She broke friends up, man. Two good buddies lost friendship over.
What they call them? The superpowers?
Yeah, mega powers.
The mega powers. Macho Man
over a whore.
And Hulk Hogan.
I hated her, dude.
Hated her?
Hated her. Broke up a friendship, dude.
I think she's
hated
from
her.
Kentucky. You know that, right?
Whore.
I want to say both of them. They were actually married in real life.
This is real life, Charlie. I
And
don't know.
She passed away. I think they both of them passed away.
You don't get between friends like that.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Don't
Miss Elizabeth and Macho Man. But anyways, yeah, Miss Elizabeth came in as Macho Man's wife, sidekick. I don't even think they were. Did they do a wedding? We talked about
Yeah,
that.
they did.
They did a
Yeah,
wedding,
they
right?
did. They got married.
So she came in as the girlfriend, was by his side all the time, and turned into a love triangle there. And she left Macho Man for a little bit and went.
with Hogan.
Yeah, she went with Hogan. And there was also a little thing before that with, was it Greg the Hammer Valentine?
She's a whore.
She is. I forgot about I want to say it was Greg the Hammer Valentine and
The Hammer.
Macho Man was feuding over Elizabeth. That was even before the Mega Powers.
Macho should have left her where he found her.
She is a whore, isn't she?
She is. Common street whore.
We shouldn't be saying that. For one, she's dead. And for two, she's from Kentucky. And
I know a lot of whores from Kentucky.
You know, you know another fun fact about Macho Man?
What's that?
He played for the Cincinnati Reds.
He was, yep.
His jersey is in the Reds Museum, Hall of Fame. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's their Hall of Fame, but they have a museum up there at the stadium, and it's pretty cool. I don't know if he ever.
He almost made. No, he was in the AAA. Or
Yeah,
he was
AAA.
He was in their system. He almost made it up. Not to change subject, real quick. I know we're going to get off that, but I got to say this because this is big news. I'd seen the other day where Canseco says he still got it, and he told Aaron Judge that he could hit a baseball or he could hit a softball farther than the Judge could hit a baseball, and he'd give him $250,000 if the Judge could hit a baseball farther than he could hit a softball. He says, I'm not a baseball player no more, but he says he still got it.
Jose Canseco's a moron.
Motherfucker.
Them steroids are still fucking pumping his head. He
Might be big as a whole. He might be able to. I'm not saying he's a better baseball player, but he might have the juice in him right now, dude. He might be juiced up right now.
He's trolling. That's all he's doing. He's looking for. When's the last time you heard his name?
Because it's
Exactly.
but he can still hit a mile. I don't mean he ain't no good baseball player, but he's still.
I can hit a softball. Yeah, when somebody lobs it to you, bud, hit it off at Jenny Finch or somebody, and we
can hit it off his head. Remember
I
when
can
the ball
hit a
got
softball? What kind of? For one, that's not even. Dude, I know you're older now, but if you want to challenge him with a fucking baseball.
Well, he said it. No, he said Judge can hit the baseball. He'll hit the softball.
Yeah, but you can blast a fucking softball. It's being lobbed to you. That ain't nothing impressive. You fucking juice head.
Don't talk about Jose,
Canseco.
son. Don't talk
He's a
about that's one of the
moron.
Bash brothers, son. Don't talk about Jose.
This guy. From that baseball hitting him in his head. Going
Yes.
over the fence. Motherfucker can't even think right, dude. Steroids and the baseball hitting him in his head.
Yep. Yes.
Calling out Aaron Judge.
The baseball hit him in the head, bounced away. It was a routine fly ball, hits him in the head, bounces over the fence for a home run. There's nothing to beat that, right?
Oh, my goodness. He should be a wrestler. That's what he needs to do. Matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, the last time I heard his name was probably when he did that celebrity boxing. Didn't he do celebrity boxing and get somebody and get beat up?
I'm going to say this. When the dude was in his prime, nobody smashed the ball like Canseco.
Yeah, right.
Nobody smashed
Mark
the ball.
McGuire
No,
and Barry Bonds.
They didn't smash it like him.
You're
dude.
nuts.
They were better players. They were more consistent.
Barry Bonds.
Canseco hit that motherfucker out of Tiger Stadium, son.
Not even close.
Nobody swung the bat as hard as Jose.
Yeah,
nobody.
right. I can
better
give
than
me
it.
Bonds and McGuire for sure, and I'll probably take Sammy Sosa and probably Josh Hamilton.
I
over
watched
him,
that team.
too.
I watched that team a lot. Oakland, that was my team. I'm not saying he was a better player, but he swung the bat harder. His bombs were legendary, dude. I mean, they were legendary. Canseco's bombs were.
Canseco.
He was
I
a big deal.
remember watching Ozzie Canseco play for the
Oh, yeah, I
Louisville
do.
Redbirds
Yeah.
back in the day.
Got
All right,
off subject,
Yeah,
sorry.
we got off the wrestling, but Canseco, he's like a wrestler.
No doubt.
He's a fucking joke.
I'll give you that.
A couple more quick little moments here on the wrestling side. The 1-2-3 Kid. I know we mentioned him last week, but I will never forget when he beat Razor Ramon. You know how they got those throws? They don't do this anymore. But you remember back in the day when we were kids, Razor Ramon every once in a while would fight some no-name guy you've never heard of. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
They don't do that shit no more. But every once, I guess it was Saturday.
That was me during the week just to fill in the card. That was their warm-up fights.
And you'd have big fighters that would fight guys that you've never heard of. That's what this was. The 1, 2, 3 kid, I want to say it was maybe one of his first couple fights ever in the WWF.
I remember it.
And it was a throwaway fight. I don't know what they call those. I'm sure in the wrestling world they probably have a name for those fights, but I'll just call it a throwaway fight, a warm-up fight, whatever you want to call it. We should go back and look at what they looked like in the ring together, because the 1, 2, 3 kid probably looked like me, 175 pounds, in there with Razor Ramon.
Chico.
Flicking his
He ain't whooping him,
toothpick
dude.
at
The
him.
fight was set up. It was set
And
up.
the 1, 2, 3 kid.
It was set up.
Oh, I thought it wasn't fake.
No, I'm just saying it was set up. They set the fight up.
Oh.
Yeah, set the fight up. No,
Like,
I'm gonna
set
tell you
it
what.
up like
that is
predetermined,
the,
like
that is
fake.
the, yes. No, I'm just saying he threw the fight, probably for gambling reasons.
no.
I'm gonna tell you this. That day, I questioned whether wrestling was real. Honestly, I did. I was like, dude, there's no way. Then Rey Mysterio came, and how's he gonna beat anybody? I questioned it, but then I always think back to when Jake the Snakes bit Macho Man. And when I think of that, I know it's real. I know it's real.
That was real. And they say Macho Man was deathly afraid of snakes too, and he let him do that. They said he was so scared of snakes. Dude, I cannot stand snakes. I don't know if you could pay me enough money to let a snake bite me.
He always had that bag.
I would have nightmares forever if I ever got bit by a snake.
Remember the bag he had?
Yeah, oh yeah, hell yeah.
I used to
remember
like
Damien.
him. I used to like him because his last, Jake Snake Roberts, I had my last name. So
Jake the Snake was the man. That was a good moment right there. That was. Back to the 1, 2, 3 kid real quick. There is not a bigger underdog in wrestling than the 1, 2, 3 kid.
Rey Mysterio, maybe?
No.
Okay.
They say that the whole Daniel Bryan thing, which was like 10 or 15 years ago, I didn't really watch it much, but I do know the yes guy. They say he was a huge underdog. He was real small. 1, 2, 3 kid beating Razor Ramon and becoming a big-time wrestler. That is the biggest underdog story in wrestling.
How do you think he did it? He wasn't real big or nothing. How do you think he was able to beat those bigger guys?
I guess he was real cool with Vince McMahon.
Charlie, no. I know where you're going with that.
real
No,
cool with
I
Vince
would-
McMahon.
No, maybe-
How did he do that? How did he
His
convince
quickness.
anybody to let that happen?
Well, he
Because
was quick. He was quick. He played like a
He
natural
was
fighter.
quick.
He was a natural fighter. I mean, there's some way it had to happen. So I've always tried to figure that out.
And he built a career off of that because he turned into X-Pac later in the game, ended up in another great, I guess this isn't really a moment, but kind of going along with the NWO. When you think of the NWO, I also think of D-Generation X.
DX, baby.
DX.
Suck it.
That was a great group too. And the 1, 2, 3 kid ended up as X-Pac and ended up in D-Generation X. So he built a career off of that one match.
I used to like the DX, the suck it symbol, like cross. Dude, I
yeah.
still try to mess with people.
That was the only other moment I got is a little bit later than a lot of these ones we're talking, but Stone Cold driving the beer truck in.
That was cool. Cool.
And I think he like squirt beer all over maybe Vince McMahon or something. Did he pull a hose out of it and like squirt him with beers? I think he did. He did a lot of shit to Vince McMahon. That rivalry that they had there for a while.
That was
were
good.
Were you still
Yeah,
watching
I
it
was.
then?
That was good.
I want to say it was like 99.
My little brother was in it, and we were still watching it a little bit. So, yeah.
99, 2000. Yeah. I feel like that was like senior year because I remember this girl that lived kind of over by your house. We used to go over to her house every Monday night and watch and that was the Attitude Era, Stone Cold, The Rock, Vince McMahon, DX. That was really actually the end of my watching it on a regular basis. But I'll say, I love the early years of Hogan and all them guys, early to mid 90s. But I will say that Attitude Era in the late 90s, that was some good entertainment. It was entertainment wrestling. It was.
Did you ever, as you got older?
More storylines.
It was. Now, as a kid, I did it to my little brother. And when I got older, I started doing it to my buddies and stuff. But did you ever? I had go-to wrestling moves with my little brother because he was a lot smaller than me at the time, and I would tombstone power drive him.
All of them.
All of it. My little brother. But then as I got older, I would always try to put the Stone Cold Stunner on somebody. Like my buddies in high school and stuff, I'd come up and try to do a running move on them and throw a Stone Cold Stunner on them. But yeah, the figure four leg lock.
Yeah, figure four, the Scorpion Death Lock.
Oh, that was a bad one to be put. I put my brother in that a lot.
Yes, that was Sting's.
The Boston Crab, same thing, right?
No, it was different.
Okay.
It was almost like
Scorpion Deathlock was like a figure four.
It was like a reverse figure four kind of.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You just did it a little bit different way. The Boston Crab was just, you just turned them over. And
you turned them over, got their legs, and pulled them back. Oh, they can't get out of that. That's game over.
Yeah.
What move can you not get out of the most? Maybe the Boston Crab.
Any of those, the Scorpion Deathlock, the figure four, any of those, those are tough.
The perfect. It was called a bunch of different things. It was the same thing. The perfect. Mr. Perfect had a move.
Oh yeah, the
perfect plex.
Perfect plex. Perfect plex. That was actually pretty cool too. So speaking of, we weren't even going to do this, but speaking of finishing moves. So one that's very simple, but I used to always love how this guy did it. Back to your guy, Jake the Snake. The greatest DDT.
Oh, yeah. He had a DDT.
Ever. Lots of guys did a DDT, but nobody did the DDT like Jake the Snake.
Didn't Rick Rude have one?
He'd throw his hand around and just the way he dropped it, real fast, real quick. I mean, it looked like he jerked the guy's head off, slammed his head into the mat. I loved Jake the Snake's DDT. But I will say this, Anthony, there is not a better finishing move ever in the history of wrestling than early days Scott Steiner when he was in the Steiner Brothers. Do you remember his finishing move? The Frankensteiner.
Okay.
Do you remember it?
A little bit.
Throws him off the ropes, jumps up, grabs the guy's head with his feet.
Yep, I do.
And flips him over.
Yep, I remember that.
That was the greatest finishing move and maybe the most underrated finishing move too, because I don't ever hear anybody talking about it. That was the best finishing move of all time.
For me, there's a bunch of them, but probably a couple of the iconic ones: Stone Cold Stunner, the People's Elbow, Hogan's leg drop.
Those
big.
are weak.
They are weak, but I'm just saying they're
weak.
iconic.
Iconic, yes. But Hogan's was terrible, and
they're all
Randy Savage's was bad too. The only thing that made it a little better was that the way he would turn his body sideways
top
when he
ropes.
jumped.
That's iconic, dude. He'd go up there and put his hands up.
But the way he performed it was great, but the actual move was weak.
Sting kind of had two of them.
Sting had the Stinger Splash, baby.
Stinger Splash and the Scorpion
Deathlock. Yes, he did.
So he was versatile.
And two good ones, too.
I think The Undertaker had two of them. The Tombstone Power Driver, and then he had that thing.
He had the choke slam.
That, and he put you, maybe
No,
three.
That's the Razor's Edge.
That's it. That's the Razor's
The Razor's Edge was great.
It was.
Razor Ramon's move was awesome. The Razor's Edge.
That was.
You know what else is a good one that is a little bit more new school, but Randy Orton, the RKO.
Okay.
He kind of took the stunner to a whole nother level where he ran up and flew in and stunned him. I think he kind of took the Stone Cold Stunner to a whole nother level. That was a really cool one.
You remember Goldberg's spear? He went on that win streak, all them wins, and then he'd spear your ass?
Yeah, Goldberg, and the spear was awesome.
He knew how to do it good.
I think he speared the fuck out of
the
he guys,
did.
dude.
Yeah.
I don't think he was holding back much.
Why would it?
But I compare Goldberg to Ultimate Warrior. Just big hype guys, get in there, slam people. No technical wrestling, no stamina. Ultimate Warrior couldn't fight more than about 15 minutes. That's why I didn't want to put him in any kind of big-time matches, because he didn't do anything.
You ever seen that guy's muscles, son?
Goldberg's the same way.
Warrior, you won't last 15 minutes with the Warrior.
Goldberg's matches
Warrior's a monster, son. You ever
either.
seen him? So we talked about this before the show. Our parents, they're trying to raise us right, trying to do right. And when I go back and look at the promos and these wrestlers, dude, they were straight on cocaine.
They were definitely on cocaine.
Straight up. And our parents were okay with that.
I don't think they paid.
like
Look,
an-
our parents didn't pay attention like
I know, but
like we do.
But as adults, like
they were smoking cigarettes and smoking weed in the backyard. They didn't care.
But I'm gonna tell you, I can watch that now. I'm like, oh my god, these guys were on drugs to do these promos. Could our parents not pick up on that? This ain't normal. This is
Our parents didn't give a shit.
He's probably out there getting them a bite.
They drove us in the car with no seatbelts and
Hot boxing us.
yeah, smoking cigarettes in the car. I mean,
Windows up, no windows down. You know, all right, here
they
you go.
didn't give a shit.
Hey, I've told you this true story. You know, I had great parents. I ain't saying them bad. The education wasn't out there. But every morning I'd wake up and I'd spit up some old brown film out of my throat. I thought it was normal. I thought everybody did it. And so me and Katie, she gets pregnant. We start staying together and stuff. And so I'm not staying at the house every day. And it clears up after all them years. It was I'd never been a smoker. It was secondhand smoke, dude.
Yeah, our parents did not think about all this stuff that, you know, especially with watching what your kids watch. I mean, they, you know, back then it was
Red Shoe Diaries.
that wasn't even out though. When we started watching wrestling in the late 80s, I mean, Red Shoe Diaries was probably like 93 or something. 92,
You know your
93.
years, Charlie.
Hell
You know
yeah,
you're
Red
not-
Shoe. I have no clue if that's right, but you want to
Real-
talk about Scramble Channel? I used to watch HBO on the Scramble Channel. 'cause
Real
they're-
Sex, 1, 2, 3,
Real
4,
Sex
5,
and Red Shoe
17.
Diaries, baby.
Let's go.
And then I feel like Def Comedy Jam would come on, which was fucking awesome when it first came out. And then I think Red Shoe Diaries came on like right after it.
Did you ever watch Tales from the Crypt?
Yeah, I watched it a little bit, but I didn't get
Shit,
into
I
it
love that shit.
that much. We are getting off on tangent.
Yeah, we
are.
Going back to the past.
Yeah, I like the wrestling segment. Maybe we'll keep doing it throughout the summer because I enjoy it, and it sounds like the listeners enjoy it too. Look, I thought we was going to have a lot of time to go into a bunch of baseball card shit. I think we're already at maybe somewhere close to an hour and a half, but
We'll do that next time.
yeah, well, let's. I think we got a few minutes here,
Okay.
real quick. Just the most memorable. We were talking about most memorable moments in wrestling. What's the most memorable sports cards? And we'll make it quick that you can remember as a kid. I think number one in the 80s, 90s, the number one card that I think everybody knows about has got to be the Upper Deck Ken Griffey rookie card.
I agree with that. From the 80s and 90s, yeah.
Is any of them bigger? Can you think of one single card that's bigger than that one? I mean, people thought they were going to retire off that card.
No.
It's worth like
I agree with
$60.
that. I forgot about it, but I do agree with you. It is. It's always been worth $60.
It might have been worth 100, 150 or something back in. Wonder how much it was worth when it first came out.
$60.
No, it
Yes,
had to
I'm
been
telling
like
you.
100,
I remember it
250
always
bucks.
being worth $60. That card's never went up or down. It's always been worth $60.
Well, people thought that it was going to be worth millions, and that thing, they must have printed 10 billion of those things because everybody and their freaking moms got one now. But that's the number one card I think of. What do you got?
So-
Your most memorable card?
So, like, if you go to my childhood, I just think most memorable card it's not an 80 or 90s card. It's the Mickey Mantle rookie. I remember people always talking about that in the Honus Wagner.
yeah,
Most
that's the big that's
Yeah.
that's the holy grail. But that's
Yeah.
way before our
It
time.
was, but I remember that card being talked about. That was the most expensive card. I feel like Gretzky bought one for like a big amount one time. But for me,
Cards that you might have had or your friends
Right.
had growing up.
well, nobody I knew had this card, but it was a card I always wanted. I need to go ahead and buy it, really. I've seen it for sale, and I'm in the cards right now. It's the Beam Team Jordan. You know, for me, it's the Beam Team Jordan. I know you said it for you. I'll let you talk about it in a second, but
The Beam Team.
yeah, it was the Beam Team. It was like a $500 card.
I don't remember that.
It was the Beam Team. They had a cheaper Beam Team, which had like 3 players on it. This was I don't even know what Beam Team stands for.
What was it? An Upper Deck or
It was
something?
a Stadium Club. Stadium Club, Beam Team Jordan.
Beam Team.
The whole Beam Team collection was expensive, but the Beam Team Jordan was the card I wanted most as a kid. Of course, I couldn't afford that. I should go ahead and buy it now.
So I had one Jordan on my list, and that's the Scoring Kings card. I know I had this card probably multiple times, and I do not have it now, and it actually bothers me more than it should.
Yeah.
Because I should have that card. I know y'all remember it. I think it was 93, 90. I want to say it was 93, 94 Fleer. Scoring Kings. It had the purple lightning bolt going through it. There was a bunch of them. They also had the rebounding Kings in that same set. The Scoring Kings Jordan card, I think, is one of the coolest cards of our childhood, and I'm on the hunt for it. There's actually a box, unopened box at a local card store here of that set.
They want a lot for it.
$550.
Yeah. It must have been a really rare card because most time they know what they got when they got those.
No, I'm talking about the box.
It's $550. That's not that much. When
The box.
I'm sitting here looking at it right now. That card right now, if you got a PSA 10.
Oh, the 10. You ain't getting a 10.
Well, you might get it out of the box like that.
You ain't getting no
if,
10.
If it's cut good, you got a chance. Been in a box. It's $14,000. For ungraded, it's $500. For a 9, it's $2,000. And then I just screenshotted the one that I'm talking about, the Beam Team. It's very similar. Ungraded, it's $5. No, that's the one. Ungraded, it's like $354.
Let me see it.
Graded right there. It's the Beam Team right there.
I do not remember that card.
Yeah, because nobody you knew had it. You know what's funny is that card's always been expensive. I don't think the card you're talking about it was always expensive. It was a good card, but it wasn't like people had it. I think
people had it. I had it.
Yeah, I think
I
think one of the things that made that card really rare is they said those Flair Ultra cards, they chip on the edges. So if you got one in decent condition.
I think I got the Shaq Rebounding King, though. I think I got a couple of the Rebounding Kings, maybe Shaq and I can't remember. But I do not have that Scoring King card. I want it. If anybody wants to donate it to Blitz the Bookie, send it my way.
I told Charlie I was going, when he first started telling me about it, I didn't know how much it was worth. I said, well, man, if I got it in my collection, I'll let you have it. And he told me, no, he said, that's kind of an expensive one.
Yeah, let me get that, dog.
I'll tell you a card that if you guys ain't opened your cards in a while, that's a really high dollar card, and I actually had one, and it's in good condition, but it's split apart. So if you know anybody can glue cards, I've never seen a card do that. It's the Jeter SP, Upper Deck SP holograph. I think it ain't a holograph, but it's the SP Jeter rookie. And if you got it in good shape, you got some really good money. And they say the reason that it's worth so much is they say the way that card was made, that it just didn't hold up.
I don't remember that one, but I don't even have Jeter on my list. But Jeter should be, if I would have had a little more time to think about this, the Jeter rookie card, or was it his first? I don't remember. I know what the card looks like. I can picture it in my head right now. Was it his rookie card, or was it maybe his draft pick card? I can't remember, but one of those was a real big card when we were kids. That was another card that it was like, man, if you got this Derek Jeter rookie, you're going to be able to retire one day. And
you know, like that card I'm telling you about, the reason that it's so valuable is because the way the card was made, there just wasn't many really good condition ones. I'm looking at it now. If you got a PSA 10 in that Jeter rookie, you got $400,000.
let me see the one you're talking about.
But look at it raw. Look at it raw. It's only 131 raw because there ain't many good condition ones. Look at the price difference.
That's not the one that I remember. The iconic one, the more memorable one, you know the one I'm talking about? Just like a rookie or a draft pick card?
Yep.
The other ones I got on my list for most memorable, the Bow Breaker cards.
Okay. Yeah, I remember those.
You remember them?
Yep, I do.
They made cards with him breaking his bats. There was a handful of them.
You remember the one where he had the shoulder pads on? It was a score.
That was my other one. I should have mentioned that one first because that is the more memorable card.
Yeah, it was in the score set of all normal cards. He was the only one they made
black
like
and
that.
white.
It's the only card they made like that too, which was weird. Usually they make like a subset. That was the only one. It was just like a normal card. And there was another card that year that was kind of weird. It was the 2-finger splitter. Remember they just showed the guy's hands? I'll show you that card. It was just.
I think I know what you're talking about now that
it was somebody's pitch.
I do remember that now that you're saying it. Yeah, the Bow football / baseball card. He had the shoulder pads and the baseball bat. That is a memorable card. Matter of fact, that is another card. I do have one of those Bow Breaker cards, which I was very surprised that I still had. I do not have that other Bo Jackson card. That's another one that I'm on the hunt for. I need that card. And I don't think that one's even expensive. I don't think. I could be wrong about that. But I'm going to get that Bo Jackson card. The only other card I got on my list, the Shaq rookie. Regular top Shaq rookie card.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it was just a base, it was just a regular card. But
right. If that's
I want to say that was a $40, $50 card at some point, and it's probably still worth 40, $50. But I do think if you got like maybe a 10 and the one with the gold nameplate, I think you might have a little bit of money right there.
Okay.
But that's
I got the gold plate one.
Do you?
It's a good card.
Yeah, that's just a memorable card. I'm not saying it's worth a ton of money, but definitely one of the cards that I remember as a kid. Everybody trying to get that Shaq rookie when he came out. There was actually a lot of Shaq rookies that were really cool. I remember a couple Stadium Club, and then I want to say maybe Upper Deck, but Shaq had some good rookies.
Yeah, he did.
But those are the most memorable to me. Griffey, the bow cards. Yeah, I remember that. Who was it?
Bob Welch.
I remember that card. Man, that brings back memories, don't it?
It does, yeah. It took me a second to find it, but yeah, it's a split finger. It was in the back. It says the success is a split finger.
That was a cool little set right there. What
91
year?
score.
91 score.
91 score.
Probably not a lot of money in that set, but it definitely had some cool cards.
I agree.
Is that the one that had, I got another, it just made me think. There's another Bo Jackson card that I have where his bat is like got dynamite in it, got like a bomb in it.
I don't remember that one.
You've never seen that one?
I remember him smashing his bat. Boom. Bo was a bad motherfucker. Bo was maybe the best athlete we've ever seen, dude. Dion was good football. He was a good runner in baseball. Bo was really good at baseball and really good at football. Don't think we'll ever see that again. As good as he was in baseball, I don't know if we'll ever see he was just a freak. Dude, he would, I think, been better in football than he was baseball. He was considered, what was he considered better in? I feel like
football, man.
And he was great at baseball.
Probably football.
Remember, he would make them big throws from the fence, dude. That one guy was coming around third, thought he had it. He threw from the fence.
That was one of the best throws in the history of baseball.
You can say, well, people get better or whatever. Nobody's ever done that again, dude.
I think it's football, man. His career got cut short there. He could have been really, really
He was
special.
really good. You ever play him Tecmo Bowl football? Shit.
No, but his
that
career
alone
got cut way short, man. He could have been real special. Like,
he was best athlete ever that we've seen. Maybe ever, dude. I know LeBron's special. I know there's some other ones. Dion's special. But I'm telling you, dude, I don't know if we've ever seen one like Bo.
Travis Hunter, baby.
They say he's struggling on offense, and he gets his ass on defense.
I done told you he was going to be playing defense.
They drafted him for offense.
Because they got Joe Flacco.
Lawrence.
Yeah, they do got you. Is he back healthy? Trevor Lawrence back healthy?
Yep. Duval. Every time I think about that team,
he's going to be on defense. Dude.
Yeah.
He's going to be on defense.
They say he's struggling with routes, like knowing how to do them and stuff.
Knowing how to do them. That's because he's been running the same route tree since he was at Jacksonville State, running Dion's whatever his route tree was. So,
getting the sun.
You would figure Dion's route tree would be something similar to an NFL route tree, right?
Maybe.
Why wouldn't it be?
Because if they had two of the best players in the college football and they played the schedule they played, they should have been better than what they were. And I'm not saying I know the answers to that, because I don't, but that's been my question the whole time. They had a weak schedule.
All right. You got any other baseball cards? Is that it?
I could go all day, but another show, another episode.
Yeah, we'll talk some more cards.
I love it. Love it.
I'm hunting the Bow card, and I'm hunting the Scoring Kings card.
You know it's bad.
You want to go in half on that $550 box?
Yeah, I would. It's that dude. If you can get that, I'll buy it tomorrow. Trying to pull that card.
I can buy. I can get it. I was at the shop.
Let's see what else is in it.
Let's see what else.
Let's see what else.
I think the main things that are in it are those.
And let's see how rare that card is. We need to see how rare the card is.
I want to say there's a couple other Scoring Kings cards that are worth like $80 to $100. I want to say one is maybe Karl Malone. One might have been Charles Barkley.
You're paying for that card, though. Is that what you're getting? You think that's why they're charging the $550, which is kind of low? But it makes me. I bet you getting that card out of one box is probably kind of hard.
Oh, I'm sure it probably.
But if we can figure out the odds and figure out the gamble,
I'm sure it's not easy. But it'd be fun to sit there and rip some old packs like that.
It would.
You know how cool that would be.
You'd have to get some hits.
I know,
but
I want to say that. I want to say the main hits in that. We could probably look it up, but I want to say most of them are going to be the Scoring Kings and the Rebounding Kings. But there was another cool insert in that set that I'm slipping my mind right now.
You remember what year that was?
I want to say 93, 94 Fleer. Fleer Ultra. It was Fleer Ultra. So I can get the box right now. I almost pulled the trigger on it, dude. I'm not going to lie. I took my kids last Friday to the shop, spent too much money in there, and pulled not much at all.
Dude, I'm going to tell you, I've learned this, and it's took me a little bit. I've been in it. I love buying packs too, Charlie. Who don't?
Oh, I already know.
Waste. It's a waste.
I already know.
Like you're not getting your money out
But
of
it's
it.
so tempting to want to just open the
It
pack,
is.
and you got the chance at these big cards that
But
might
you can buy
be in there.
if you shop singles and find people that need money, dude. Hands down, the way to go.
I already know the money that I spent in there. Once we opened the boxes and opened all the packs, I told both of my boys, you realize we could have got like a really good card, or maybe 2 or 3 pretty good cards for the prices that we just spent on these packs that we really didn't. We got some decent little hits, but nothing crazy.
The only thing, you have a chance to get that big card.
I know, and it's just fun. It's
It
fun
is. No
ripping them.
doubt
But
it's fun.
don't get me wrong. When you rip that bad box that you don't get anything,
Oh, I did it.
That's the first thought is always, I could have took $30 and bought a nice $30 card. You can buy decent cards for.
Dude, you can buy really
like them $20, $30, $50, $80 cards, dude.
I love them.
I'm not
I love
buying.
'em.
I'm not in the market to be buying $500 to $1,000, $10,000 cards.
No, I'm not buying
I
them.
like them $50 cards,
But you can
$60 cards.
You can
$100
buy.
cards.
You can spend $50, $60, and you find somebody needs some money, but get you a $150 card, $130 card. People will move cards like that, dude. Now, not your people that are into it. But you get on Marketplace, find you somebody hard up on money.
Yeah, because your local card shops,
They're
know what
getting their
doing.
value. They're getting their, and they know if it's a 10, they know everything.
Yeah,
you don't buy from those people. So I looked it up. You get a scoring king 1 out of every 36 packs. There's 10 of them in it, so 1 out of 360 packs, you're going to get that Jordan scoring king.
1 out of 360
packs.
The box probably has about 24 packs in it.
So you got about 1 in 11, 1 in 12 chance of getting it. And so you do the math on that. That's probably priced about right. Saying there ain't no value in the other cards.
I do think there's some other cards in there that price decently, but you're going to have a 9 or a.
I think you would get that out of a box, but the cutting's bad back then.
Yeah,
the
but
cutting.
and
But I don't think
brick.
that card don't have a
brick,
border.
too.
That card don't have a border, does it?
But they could brick too.
Yep.
A lot of times them old cards will try to stick together.
I've read about that. I've read it, and I've seen that in my own card. So yeah, you're right.
All right, we'll keep y'all updated on Anthony's card habit.
We might. I had to take a mortgage out in the house. My wife don't know about it yet because they has some cards I wanted. Dude, I am hooked though. I cannot say that I'm not hooked. I am hooked, but I am getting crazy good deals. I sit and mess with these people that just need money. I lowball them, and I'll get somebody to hit on it, and they'll show up, and they'll look like they've been on drugs for 5 days, and they'll give me like all kinds of good cards they probably stole from Target for like $100. Dude, I've had that happen like 5 times. And I got a cop I buy from that I don't know how he gets them, but he does.
Confiscating them. He got it busting a illegal sports card ring.
I guess.
Maybe he's part of it.
Yeah.
All right, boxing news. Guys, we have been working hard to get a couple guests in here for an interview. I know y'all have probably heard us talk about it a couple times, mention it. Busy schedules and life has pushed it back a few times, but we are set to get both of these guys in, hopefully in the next couple weeks. But there's an event coming up this week here in Louisville, Kentucky, the Superstars of Boxing, and it is promoted by Nick Barris. Nick has really established himself as a prominent figure in the Louisville boxing game, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, I want to say he's been doing it for 10 to 15 years and has really got a good thing going. He is the founder of Louisville Select Boxing. We were trying to get Nick in here to talk about the event this weekend, and he is also the trainer of the headlining boxer at that event this weekend, Damonteze Juicy Duncan, upcoming welterweight, highly touted, and has a chance to have a big future. Local kid from the west end of Louisville. Nick's done good things with him and a lot of other young kids here in the city. So we really wanted to get Nick on here to kind of talk about the event this weekend. And we were going to have Juicy on too, kind of tell his story. He's just a good kid. I mean, I don't know him personally. I've met him, but just seems like a really good kid. So we are still going to get them in after Juicy whoops some ass this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Nick's got another fighter, Troy Davis. We actually ran into him. My dad got his knee replaced, and he was in Fraser rehab, and he actually took us to our truck. And I didn't realize it was him at first, and something happened, and we got talking. And I'm going to say this, before I ever knew it was him, he was first class, really treated us well when we were kind of mad at the hospital as a whole. And so not only is Nick doing great things with boxers, but seems like he's a good influence on these kids too.
Yeah, absolutely. So he started Louisville Select Boxing years ago out of his basement and took some of the youth around the inner city that needed somewhere to go after school, needed something to do to not get in trouble, took a lot of these kids in on his own dime, started Louisville Select Boxing, and he has grown it into something really good. I feel like a lot of people know about Louisville Select Boxing around here, and I think Juicy's really his name is starting to get out there as well. We're taking the Blitz boys this weekend after we play baseball on Saturday. We're going to take them out to the fights. I know I've been. Have you ever been to any of these? Have you ever been to
I've watched them, but I've never been.
So I've been to a handful of them over the years. I'd say I've probably been to 6 or 7 of these events. And they always have a bunch of kids, which is great. Juicy loves the kids, man.
Yeah.
Juicy loves the kids, and they're always at these events with their signs, and he always takes time out to talk to the kids. And like me and Nick kind of talked, he feels like the kids might maybe kind of make the adults maybe stay in their place a little bit better. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Because boxing events can get get rowdy, but Nick kind of talked about that. The presence of the kids kind of
keeps the crowd.
It does
clean. I get it.
It does to an extent. I mean, you're always going to have bad seeds, but really looking forward to this event this weekend. I encourage anybody in the Louisville area, if you're not doing anything on Saturday, if you don't have plans, check out Louisville Select Boxing on Facebook. You can find all the information, time, place, address of the event. It's Saturday. I want to say it starts about 6 o'clock and usually runs till maybe 10:30, something like that. But I would definitely encourage you to come out, check out the show. Check out Louisville Select Boxing on Facebook. I think they're on TikTok too. So check them out, and keep an eye on Damonteze Juicy Duncan.
Good fighter.
He's a really good fighter, and I think he's even a better young man. He's only, I want to say he's 19 or 20 years old.
Kid's got a lot of upside.
A lot of upside. I hope that I don't know much about who he's fighting this weekend, but I do think it's a decent matchup. I don't think Nick's putting him in front of any scrubs, and he is a professional fighter now. Juicy had a really good amateur career. I don't know how many times he fought. Could have been 100. It was a lot. Undefeated, I believe. Undefeated his whole amateur career. Won some gold gloves. But he did turn professional, I want to say maybe 3-4 years ago. I want to say he is 7-1. Did drop a decision a couple years back that he is battling back from. He's got 1 or 2 wins under his belt since then. Looking forward to the fights and looking forward to having Juicy and Nick on the show, hopefully in the next coming weeks. But really just wanted to talk about the show and talk about a couple guys that are doing great things here in Louisville, Kentucky. Anthony, you got anything else, man?
That'd be it. Good show. Good times. I enjoy some of the, when sports are slow, doing some of the off-the-topic stuff. But, guys, as always, we appreciate you listening. I mean it. For those people that are out there listening, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. We appreciate it. I enjoy doing this with Charlie every week. Sometimes this helps me get my mind off things, the stresses I got in my everyday life. There's times I got to do the show. I got to come up. I don't have time for it. But when I get down in here, I get in the groove. I've always enjoyed sports, and I hope it comes through the mic because I do enjoy having those conversations, debates, try to analyze stuff. I'm not always right. If not, I try to argue like I am right. But I have a lot of fun with it. You know, I enjoy doing it. So I hope you enjoy listening. And as always, we appreciate it.
Couldn't stress that anymore, especially for you all that have been there from the beginning. I've said it before, the first few episodes, they were rough. So we really do appreciate each and every one of you all. Thank you to our regular listeners. If you would have told me when we started that we would have the amount of regular weekly listeners that we have right now, and look, the number might be small to some people, but to me, if you'd have told me the number when we started this, I'd have told you were crazy. So thank you to each and every one of you all that listen, that have been there from the start, even if you weren't there from the start. And this is your first time. Thank you for taking your time out, and share the podcast with somebody, guys. Tell somebody else about us. I know you know somebody that likes sports, somebody that listens to podcasts. Let them know about Blitz the Bookie. Guys, we'll be back next week. Belmont next week, Anthony?
Yep. And the Met Mile. We'll talk about that next week.
Met Miles next week?
Yeah, it's in the undercard.
Yeah, Belmont Day might be, besides Breeders' Cup, that might be the best day of racing.
Yeah, it might be. I agree with that. You know,
it's a really loaded card.
The Derby Day is getting a lot better. Okay, it's always been strong, but we're talking about the best non-Breeders' Cup day. So we're putting in very elite categories. It's getting better.
When you say Belmont was like a close, maybe not a close second.
I think it's the best day. I think it's the best day besides Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. So it'll be a great day, and hopefully the Belmont's good. We'll talk about it next week, guys. Blitz the Bookie.
See ya.
Facts all day. Anthony's like, nah, I got the better parlay. Argue about the spread, it's a fierce debate. But when it comes to Wildcats, they align their fate. Blitz the Bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums. Hustle deals on the line. Charlie Scassy's gonna make you shine. Anthony's heart where the numbers combine. Put your cash down, ride the incline. Blitz the Bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums. From the tip off to the final play, they grind. Mike's on fire, bets on their minds. Arguing odds till the last rewind. Blue and white, it's a bond you'll find. The Bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums. Final play, they grind. Mike's on fire, bets on their minds. Arguing odds till the last rewind. Blue and white, it's a bond you'll find. Bond you'll find. Blitz the Bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drum.